You good, sir? Good. Anything exciting happened to you this week? Yeah. Good exciting or like expensive exciting? Yeah. All right. Hey, Bubba, get out your way here. Good. You ever just wallop her? Sometimes she needs a good walloping. Because you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to do my be healed thing. It's never worked for me before, but it can't hurt me. Did you say I look like I need to be committed? Did he say I look like I need to be committed?
Everybody knows that. Yes, we're in, but not all the boxes are where they belong. You could sit anywhere without sitting there. I didn't tell you.
You can thunk it, Michael. G-Paul, we got our resident enforcer sitting behind you back there. So if you get out of line, Michael's going to thunk on you. You about to say, which one's more likely to bite you, the big dog or the little dog? And it's usually, yeah. So yeah, Jamie's probably way meaner than Michael. Way meaner. Hey, have you tried the honey? It's almost like pure honey ones. Man, those are my favorite. No, I think mine were the Halls brand. Maybe I don't remember. But it's just like almost like honey and vanilla almost together. It was just, it was good. Like sometimes I like the menthol type ones that kind of open up my sinuses. But if it's just like the pure scratchy throat, that it's almost like pure honey one that just, I like it. Because it just gives you a little bit of coating. Yep. If Alicia hadn't given it to you already, she has it. I forget, because I will forget. She grabbed it off the refrigerator because I had forgot it. Does that surprise you at all that I had forgot it again and she had to get it? Yeah. Everybody's got that one. Uh-oh. Why don't you just preach it?
Jesus.
Okay. Missing the picture.
Is that like comparing that to somebody else?
The one behind it. Hey, that'd be a perfect. If you get asked to do that this morning, that's where I'd go. Well, because hey, don't get lost in the ordinance of it. Make sure you see what you need to see, kind of thing. Ooh, that'd be good. That'd be good. How's my favorite blue? Mom. Did you think it was Henry coming in, or maybe William? Boy, I like that outfit on you. That's cute. Good job. Good job. What you picked it out good. Chris, did you pick that out for her this morning? Well, you know, perfection takes a little while. It takes time. I ain't no hurry. Y'all fellowship back there. We're good. You know, this many people showing up for Bible class, it kind of makes me wonder, are we about to have some kind of intervention, or like, am I in trouble, or yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Miss Ann, do you have an update on your kinfolk, you know, from the, you know? Oh, okay.
And Oscar's surgery has been up to May the 4th. That's not good still, but it's so much.
It's a month. Was that a month earlier than the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we can keep praying and we'll get it another month moved up. 10-4. Is there anything we can do? Well, I meant even like helping him around there or whatever. I mean, I can feed a cow pretty good. I mean, I've consumed enough cow. I ought to be able to feed one. Anything else we want to make mention of before we get rolling this morning? I'll say thank you, Lord, for some of you sick people that I know ain't. Like I said, if you wait till you quit coughing, you might not come back till 3 years from now. But glad y'all are somewhat better. Janet, I know, is still kind of down. Whatever she said, something about getting CT scans and a possible pneumonia. Did that ever get confirmed? I'd have said that's what she sent me, something where they gone and she got 3 or 4 more shots. She said, "Yes, sir." Yeah, that's okay. What about him?
He still sounds rough, but he feels okay.
Yeah. 10-4. Sounds rough, but feels okay.
He ain't stopped.
Well, Lori feels rough and kind of sounds okay. So, I'm just 10-4. So glad you're back. Let's see. Then back. What else? Anything else we need to make mention of before we get? Yes, ma'am, Miss Tanya.
There's a young man from the Bellevue area, Bellevue, Florida, that's missing. His dad is a preacher down there.
Okay.
And they don't know, they haven't heard from him since like Friday.
Oh my, like missing? Oh my. Okay. All right. 10-4. Do you have a name?
Colton.
Colson. Okay. Miss Margie? Yep. Miss Sandra, I thought you'd be in Kentucky this morning. Uh-huh. Asbury? I thought we might have lost you. Just for a little bit. You could come give us a report. A little part of you tempted to drive up there, though? No, I want to go see. All right. Yes, ma'am, Miss Margie. 10-4. All right, Opal. Something in particular, or just I hadn't heard about that one. I just saw her. Okay, all right. So I just saw her. 10-4. I don't know if they're home. I texted with him yesterday. He said he feels better, but he's still got his cough pretty good. But I texted with him some last night. So it may be, I don't know, maybe they're with his mom or grandkids. I'm not sure. The older boarders, I know, are traveling, helping Terry's mom kind of pack and move. So that's where they're at this morning, I believe. Moving's not when does the move happen, actually, Matt? Or do we know that may not be TBD? Okay. All right. So just kind of helping her go through that process. So be mindful of them. My in-laws stuff's in the house, but I don't know what she's waiting for. I mean, how long does it take to put your stuff away? I mean, it's been 2 or 3 days now. What you even been doing over there? Probably. Careful. Yeah. Yeah.
She's rethinking her decision.
Yeah, I'm about to say, well, they're committed now. They're stuck. So, all right.
Maybe where you don't use it.
Well, you don't want me. I can put it up. My lack of organizational skills are unrivaled. About man. Joe woke up and chose violence this morning. Wow. Can you announce that? Can you, like, just for, in case anybody else shows up, whatever, just announce we're praying for Joe, and don't even tell them why we're praying for Joe. Just, yeah. 10-4. Well, just for that, you want to lead us in opening prayer before we get started? Yeah. Come on.
Father, we're so grateful that we're able to come together. We're thankful for this group, all the fellowship that we enjoy, the relationships that we have one with another. We ask that you give us a percentage. We pray that you heal those who were mentioned as sick. We're grateful for those who are back. Protect those who are traveling. We do pray, earnestly pray, that you would open our hearts and our minds. Help us to learn this morning. Help us to take what we hear and read and apply it to our lives, that we might live better for thee. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, I want to read an excerpt from John, and then you need to get your Bible turning fingers and track shoes ready, because we're going to go all over. I want to look at some. This isn't the full timeline lesson I told you I've been preparing. This is just a small one about the resurrection appearances. And so I've got kind of a, if you're sitting next to somebody else, if one of you wants to be in Matthew and one of you wants to be in Luke, or I don't know how y'all want to do that, but we're going to go multiple places. I want to paint a picture. I want us to kind of get to see all of it together, and we'll talk through it together a little bit. John 20 is where we are. And just to catch you up a little bit, we're first day of the week. Mary Magdalene has come. She's ran and told Peter and John they've taken the Lord. I don't know where they are. We talked about them running to the tomb. We talked about the humor of John recording that he outruns them, but then also records that he chickens out and won't go in till later. I love all of that detail. I love it. We spent a pretty good amount of time, I feel like, just maybe it's a small thing, and I don't even know if you would remember, but just the linen still being there and placed and folded. Is there any significance to that to you?
I've read on the internet before that some religions believe it has some significance. And was the linen for his?
The Shroud of Turin is kind of, like supposedly some people say they found it, whatever. We went more of, if you take the time to fold something, was it, Joe?
I said you're trying to remember, and I can't remember, but I came across some information one time that said that when a person got up to leave and was coming back.
Yes.
They laid the thing down, but if they were not coming back, we folded it up and put it down so the host would know that they're gone. Now, whether that has any bearing.
I remember reading something about that one time too, you saying that. Yes, sir?
I was just going to say, it speaks to a person not being in fear, not being in a hurry, not worried about what's going on around him. He's taking the time. He's not in a rush to leave for fear of capture or whatever.
That's right. He's in control. It's settled. The linens. I'm gonna paint a picture. I'm gonna save my comment for the sermon because I want to talk about a part about what the angels possibly show up and see when they get to seeing Jesus there. But I'm gonna save that for the sermon. I just kind of wanted to put that out there. I do want to also point out kind of like 8 through 10. So finally, John goes in And when he sees the empty tomb, it says he saw and believed. Now, I like that they put in here verse 9 because it's going to come up in some passages we go through this morning. They still didn't understand that Jesus had to rise from the dead. Because we're going to read one account where that Mary goes and tells them, and hey, he's gone. And they're like, almost dismissive. We'll get there in just a second. For this morning's purposes, let's read 11 through 18 to set the tone of John, because that's what we're studying. But then, like I said, I'm going to kind of take you through, and I'm going to need multiple readers, but I'm not necessarily in a hurry to go through all of them, but I want you to just I want you to see a picture of the events of Sunday morning, which ought to be pertinent to us every Sunday morning, but that's kind of where we're. Do you mind reading this morning? I don't even know who to call on to read anymore because all y'all are hacking and coughing. So I don't even know, if you can't read, no offense, just kind of, wave the white flag and I'll pass on to the next person. 11 through 18, if you don't mind.
But Mary stood outside by the tomb weeping. And as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the tomb. And she saw two angels in white sitting, one at the head of it and the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had lain. Then they said to her, Woman, why are you weeping? She said to them, Because they have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him. Now when she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, and did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking? She, supposing him to be the gardener, said to him, Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away. Jesus said to her, Mary. She turned and said to him, Rabboni, which is to say, teacher. Jesus said to her, Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. But go to my brethren and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples that she had seen the Lord, and that he had spoken these things to her.
All right, there's a lot specifically to John we're going to get into. Like I said, I'm not necessarily in a hurry because there's too many nuggets of that I want to. I mean, I just from my perspective, I love it. Like after a text like that, multiple of y'all looked up and there was some kind of visual response of there's a power to this text, is there not? I mean, I just thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for it. All right, let me give you. I need to preface it with this. Men way wiser than me trying to put some of these times, it's difficult to make them exactly fit, just flawlessly. Would you agree kind of with that statement that we also have to give each gospel writer kind of had a different purpose, and they're together, we're studying all of them, but I don't even know if they meant for us. They had their purpose of telling it the way they saw it, the way the Holy Spirit revealed to them. So I'm not 100% certain of all of it, but I'm going to give you some of it. All right, so keep a finger here if you want to. I want to talk about the angels there. Matthew 28, really 1 through 4. Matthew 28, 1 through 4. Because here's what you're going to run into, and I'll even kind of give you a preface. I don't know the order. I don't know if, Mary Magdalene comes first, but then there's other texts that say it's multiple women. You've got the angels appearing just to her, and then you got texts saying the angels appear to them. And we're going to kind of go through some of that, and it may be both, or it may be just that John was only focused on the singular, and the others were focused on more of the group. We're going to see some of that. Matthew 28, 1 through 4. Somebody else that doesn't mind reading. You feel up to it? All right, 28, 1 through 4.
Early on Sunday morning, as the new day was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went out to visit the tomb. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, rolled aside the stone, and sat on it. His face shone like lightning, and his clothing was as white as snow. The guards shook with fear when they saw him, and they fell into a dead faint.
And then 5 is like, don't be afraid. He's not here. He's risen. Verse 7, go tell the disciple. So you're getting some of the same details. So the events, question 1, this is just question. What's the significance, if there is any, that multiple texts say they're coming early in the morning? Does that say or communicate anything to you about them coming, at dawn, the first day of the week? That grab a hold of you at all? It could be that. I don't know if their minds are there yet, because John's passage, they're not still sure about the raising. Any other reason why they might come first thing in the morning? Why couldn't they come on Saturday? Sabbath. So what does it say then that they're coming first thing, Miss Margie? Do you remember? And we covered that a little bit. We talked about Joseph Arimathea on Wednesday, about some of that they they wrapped him, and that man, just the thought of Joseph and Nicodemus wrapping the dead body, and now they're wanting to come to it. But what does it say that they're doing it? Is at dawn of the first day of the week. How long are they waiting? Yeah, it's like, and I think I asked it Wednesday, and I'll ask it again. How well you think they slept Saturday night? Knowing what they had on their mind. I just make the reality of it. So they're coming. The emotion we see in Mary, and because some people have a lot of, well, why didn't she recognize him? And some people have suggested maybe her eyes are full of tears. It's possibly still the morning dew. It may still be dark, and she's emotional with all that. So you got all this going on, and what they're coming to do. And all she wants is just tell me where he is, and I'll get him. They're coming to work. They're bringing the spices. They're coming to prepare. They're doing it the first thing in the morning to do that. Yes, sir.
Who was the first person sent to preach that Jesus had risen from the dead?
Mary. And I don't know if you have a point you wanted to follow up that with, because I got several.
There's a lot there. You just need to dwell on that fact. He chose her.
That's right.
To go tell others that he had.
Go tell your brothers. The elevation of women, the respect that he had for them as servants of his. And again, we've talked about their servant hearts. The earthquake. Does it have a purpose at all in Matthew 28? Or why does it happen? What's the causation possibly of that? Who shows up at the same time? What scares the guards off? Yeah. What when you say both, you got earthquake and what else? You know what I mean? Like, go ahead. If they had a face lifted up at all, what did they see? So you got earthquake. You've got angels showing up. We're going to 4. They're so afraid of him they shook and became like dead men. And then we're going to get another passage that they run off to go basically report what's happened. And so we got some other events.
I wonder what these angels look like, because there are descriptions of some angels in the Bible that probably wouldn't necessarily scare us by their appearance, but others that are kind of strange looking.
You've got the Hebrew that we've entertained angels unaware. This one, if his appearance was like lightning, this is lightning. His clothes were white as snow, and they have a visual and physical reaction to his appearance.
I just like the detail that he done what he was there to do. He sat down on the rock.
Yeah. Well, and then this one's got one, but then the John passage says we've got, and where are they sitting? They're sitting. And maybe I'm making too much out of this, but it kind of goes back to the taking the time to fold the napkin. Angels are sitting down. Like they're not in a hurry. They're not necessarily rushed. If they take the time to, I may be reading way too much in, but are they absorbing the moment? They're sitting where he had, and I don't know why, but when you read it, the word had, past tense. They sat down where the body of Jesus had been, but wasn't anymore. that there may be possibly, I mean, I think, brethren, we just got to put the reality instead of rushing past some of this. That's why I love the Peter and John interaction that we covered Wednesday, that you can almost through the text see or picture them going through multiple emotions of what's going on here. You know, all they've gotten is a report. The tomb is empty, and they are running. They're running. And then but John won't go in. There's a trepidation, and then Peter goes in, and they got to be like looking around and like, what does this stuff mean? And you got angels showing up, and we got scriptures about stuff that angels long to look into, right? Things that were revealed to us and not them yet. And we've got the angels are the ones that, and this is your mom, I'm thinking of, that the angels are the ones that show up when he's born and are shouting in song, peace and good tidings. And he's finally, I mean, the angels are as much, I feel like, touched by this moment as the disciples are. I just want to capture this a big deal. I'll go Matt and then I'm going to come to Joe.
Men can be sneaky, sly, and scheme and do things that other people don't know about. But then years later, you find out.
Okay.
Somebody talks about it. Somebody says something. You know, just think of anything, any crime,
Sure.
murder, kingdom, you name it. An assassination, whatever.
Government events.
Yeah, somebody says something eventually, and then the secret gets told. In this situation, the angels are in charge. Man didn't do anything in this aspect of this event. God did it his way. He sent the angels to do
Their job.
His will and their job. Nobody stole the body. You'd have heard about it. Somebody would have said something.
Absolutely.
So it's not something that somebody can say later.
Man can try.
That's right.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, does anybody know like what the translation of the word angel is? Like what it's their role, but also what is an angel? They are a messenger, and they are coming to announce the message. Joe, where were you going to go with that?
Well, I was just thinking that here they were. This was the culmination of the beginning
Of everything.
the end.
Yes.
Of everything we read about there at the end of the Revelation. And these angels, 2 or 3 or how many, but they got to see something that will never happen again. The beginning of God bringing back to what he had at the beginning of the week.
And this is where I'm going, like, we have to embrace the supernatural, that not everything's rocks and mortars in our reality, but the angels are getting to set foot on planet Earth and we're going to talk about 1 Timothy 3 about that Jesus came in the flesh, right? And we talk about that, quote unquote, certain times of the year well, now the angels are getting to set foot on planet Earth and see where the miracle has taken place, right? Where the body lay. And whoever brought up the fact that the angels are taking the time to be seated, I just picture my brain. They are soaking in the tremendous everything about this moment at the beginning of the end, the reality. Here it is. This is the culmination of all the prophecies of all time, and they are getting to experience it. And so, we're going to take a second to just sit here, one at the head and one at the foot, and kind of absorb this moment. All right, so you got Matthew 28. Who all has come to the tomb here? You've got 2 Marys. If you'll look at Mark 16, you've got Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome, verse 1, are bringing spices. And as they're on their way to take care of him, again, very early. Do you remember the question they're asking? Like we got a conundrum. We don't know how we're going to solve this. How are we even going to get in there to do what we're supposed to do? And maybe I doubt that they're even privy to, this is back to your God thing, man can't do this. What had the Jews done to ensure that the last deception was not greater than the first? Not only do they double the guard, but they seal the tomb. There's been multiple things to prevent the very thing that they were worried about. And I've said it's not really in our John studies purview or whatever, but their reaction is not to punish them. It's not to question them. But how do the Jews handle the guard saying he's not there anymore? We bribe them to lie, and that gets circulated. And the power of that, and I want, the Sanhedrin has been so just adamant. We're killing this guy. We're going to try to kill that. They are on. Why would they not put these men to death? And I wonder if it had something to do with the sincerity of the tale that these guards are telling, right? They're not coming and saying, hey, you know what? They stole the body. We were just, we have all these soldiers there and they just overwhelmed us. And we don't even know how they did it. Some sneaky, sly way they got it. And, sorry, Sanhedrin, but that's not what tale are they telling? John, you kind of said, what's the two events that they're sharing? The ground was shaking, the rock was rolling, and a guy whose appearance was like lightning showed up, and we were scared for our lives. And they're all telling that tale. And I wonder if that has something to do with the way the Sanhedrin says, well, there's no pouring water on what is, so we're just going to give you a pretty good sum of money and pray that you just lie about it. And obviously get that, not all of them must have agreed to that, or we wouldn't know it, and they wouldn't have been able to write it. John?
I don't think the women was concerned with none of that. All they was concerned about was getting to that tomb early in the morning, prepared.
Let's get him taken care of. But they are worried about, hey, who's going to roll the stone away? Now, and this is where so they're on their way. And I got to believe then that the angel shows up and scares the guards off before they get there, right? That's kind of, that has to transpire because they get there, and when they arrive, he's already gone and the stone has already been rolled away. John 20, verse 2 says that Mary Magdalene runs and tells Peter. Let's see, Matthew 28. Trying to figure out what my notes mean here. The angel says to the women, don't be afraid. So verse 8, the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell the disciples. So it's not just Mary that goes and tells the guys to come look at this. It's the women. It's all of them doing it. But then you have in Matthew's account that while they're on the way to tell the disciples, verse 9, suddenly Jesus meets them and appears to the women. I just think there's an event that takes place before that. This is where I don't have it clear in my brain, or there's, as the different guys are telling it, it may be that I kind of think Mary Magdalene gets her own appearance. And then I think that then he also appears to all of the women, possibly. There may be possible things going on here. Luke 24 also has it that similar way, 2 through 7. They found the stone rolled away, but they didn't find, while they were wondering about this, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. And in their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground. But the men said to them, why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He is risen. Remember, he told you while he was still with you in Galilee. And so then they remembered his words. And then it says, when they came back from the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 and to all the others. So imagine this. And like I said, I'm not as worried about the timeline as I am the picture. So imagine the women coming to the tomb, ready to prepare. They've got their spices. They're ready to serve. They got all the emotion of basically, they're showing up for a funeral, a post. That's their mindset, right? Our Lord has been taken and we are showing up to prepare the body like for a funeral. And you get there and he's not there. And while these ladies are sitting around processing, did they steal him? Did they take him? What has the Sanhedrin done? What has the guards done? Whatever. While they're standing there doing that, two fellows in white that appears like lightning just kind of, hey, can you, I mean, this is where it's like, what do they look like? I don't know what an angel looks like. And you kind of talking about like, you know, whether we are an angel of light. I know Paul would talk about later how angels show up, what they look like, you know, but they get to experience that. And it's enough that their faces are on the ground at the presence. They know something otherworldly is going on here. Does that
One thing these accounts have in common is they tell us what was important to Jesus. The post-resurrected Jesus, time and space doesn't mean anything to him. Twice he appears behind
locked doors? That's right.
And surprises them. He could have done that then. He didn't have to appear to the women. They could have just appeared up and found out he wasn't there.
That's right.
It was important to Jesus that he appeared to the women first.
Yeah, I was going to say that every text seems to make a point of that. Like I said, why not just wait till they're all gathered, hiding in the upper room, and just do it all at once? He makes a point to do some of these first ones. Now, one of the ones that's kind of not sure about is that it seems that Peter may also get his own appearance. And one of the texts, one of the gospel stories, well, I'll give them to you. You want to read? Can you do 1 Corinthians 15:5? Kevin, can you do Luke 24? I could do 33 and 34, if you don't mind. 1 Corinthians 5:5 and Luke 24, 33, 34. Say it again. 15:5. What did I say? 5:15. Did I reverse it? 15:5. The resurrect. All right. 15:5. This is kind of the gospel or the Paul recounting. I delivered to you what was of first importance, and he's going through the appearances. And in 15:5, he says,
He was seen of Cephas, then of the 12.
Cephas and then of the 12. And he's telling that. Luke 24, 33, and 34.
So they rose up that very hour and returned to Jerusalem and found the 11 and those who were with them gathered together, saying, the Lord is risen indeed and has appeared to Simon.
And then I'm going to give you one more. Is Mark 16:7. It says, you know, basically this is don't be alarmed when they're talking to the women. And I love this one. This is Mark 16:7. But go tell his disciples and Peter that he is going ahead of you into Galilee, and there you will see him just as you told. And I've got a whole sermon I preach on this that gives me goosebumps to this day. What would it have done for Peter to hear the ladies are coming back from the tomb and said, why word it that way? Go tell the disciples and Peter. What's Peter's last experience with the Lord? Denied him. Denied him. Now, I don't know, again, the timeline I'm struggling with is this, go tell the disciples, and this is, do you see kind of like my struggle is they run back and the tomb is empty and then they run there, right? And does that happen? And then are they supposed to go back and they tell that, does it happen again or go tell it? But it seems to me, though, that Peter gets his own appearance from 1 Corinthians 5. And then the one that specifically said, hey, that he appeared to Simon, like Simon Peter got to see, and I, you know, multiple reasons of him setting up as a leader. Acts chapter 2 is in mind when he has the meal on the beachside after the resurrection and tells him to feed my sheep and feed my lamb, that maybe he has a special role. Maybe it's connected to his falling away, but just there's something interesting to me about Peter possibly getting that. I want to read one more passage before I go back to John. Go ahead, John. That's right.
He knew he was going to deny. He told him he was going to deny, but he also knew it was going to strengthen him, and he was going to be a rock for him after he rose.
That's right. And he's given him that moment to get to do that. The one last passage I want to kind of put over all of this, just kind of as an emotional picture, is Luke 24:41. This, and we're going to get to this later, but this is when he has appeared to all of the disciples. And I just love that the way the text words this in Luke 24:41. He's showing them his hands and his feet. He's showing not just Thomas, but he's showing all of them, this is me. This is my whatever. And I love the way verse 41 of Luke 24 says, and it says, while they still did not believe it because of joy and amazement. You know what I mean? And one version says they disbelieved for joy. Does anybody else translation read something similar to that? You know what I mean? It's like he's right there in front of them, but I can't believe it because I'm too excited to believe what the reality of what's standing in front of me. If you're him, then what does that mean? You're back. You rose from the dead, and it's like that is so big. I'm so excited and joyful that that's the truth. I can't even believe it. It's too good to be true. There's no way. That's right. That's right.
It's just, out of all of these people, it happened to me.
I said, I don't take it as a negative at all. I think it's just the way they're wording it. It is like, this is just, it's overwhelming that you're back and we're looking at you and you're here. And my brain is not, I want to believe it, but I can't believe. You ever say, I can't believe this? That's kind of the spirit I want to put all of it. All right. All of that said, let's get back to John 20 with like the 3 minutes we have left. What's that? Got something to eat? and he shares a meal with them. Absolutely. So kind of that aside then, kind of coming back to Mary. Well, you saying that communion with Jesus is a big deal. His last upper room event with them before he goes and gets arrested is breaking bread. The road to Emmaus, where he appears to the two disciples, we didn't really talk about them in all the appearances. And that's part of where Kevin was reading in Luke 24. But he appears to those two disciples and they're talking and they're like, hey, how do you not know what's going on? And then the text at the end says, were not our hearts burning within us, whatever. Well, do you remember what event that triggered they recognized who he was? When he breaks bread with them. And then their eyes are open and it's the breaking bread moment. The John 21, like when he's kind of restoring Peter and whatever, is when he breaks bread with them. There's something about Jesus breaking bread. And so here we are in the upper room, and now he's breaking bread with them, asking, hey, do you have something to eat? All right, so we're back to, like I said, all of that just kind of give you a big picture, and it doesn't all make sense to me, but I wanted to kind of just put some of those texts in front of you just to let you absorb the power. Mary's outside the tomb, and she's weeping. She is coming, again, to put it in your brain, she's coming with funeral mentality. I've lost someone who is dear to me, and so we're all of the joy that we've kind of gone through with some of the text, we're back to she's not there yet. We haven't prepared him properly. The last thing I know, he's dead, and they put him in the tomb, and now I'm coming to have to prepare a dead body of the one that was not supposed to die, because they didn't process. If Peter didn't think that, then so that she's weeping. She gets there and says she bent over to look in the tomb. And this is why I think it's more than one, because you got all the women and they appear amongst them. But here she's looking in here and she's looking in the tomb, and in the tomb are the two angels. One at the head. And I love that. I don't know why it just grabbed me, where the body had been.
Picture the top of the ark
With the
to
angels.
share.
Mercy seat. The presence of God, where God sat or dwelt. Ooh, didn't think about that. Is that where you're going with like one of the, it's almost like maybe there's some symbolism there of where God dwells, or his presence. Was this where he was? Ooh, I didn't think about that.
The thing is, she comes to the tomb, the women come to the tomb, and first thing in the morning, he's not there. She runs to go get Peter. Peter and John run to the tomb. He's not there. And now we're going back to Mary.
That's right.
and she's outside the tomb weeping. So she went to go get Peter, and they ran to the tomb where she ran after.
Well, here's a point your mom made to me after class Wednesday that just, again, kind of similar to yours. Mary gets to see things that John and Peter didn't see. She gets to see the angels, and here even talks to them. The lack of alarm. You know, when we have the one where the angels appear amongst the women, we already read that one where the women are afraid. Here she looks in and sees two angels, and there's not that. At least it's not recorded, the fear factor. In fact, she's willing to speak to them and say, where is he?
Matt's point about the two angels above the mercy seat. In the Greek Old Testament, that word mercy seat is the same word in the New Testament that we translate as propitiation, which is what Jesus is.
He has satisfied the wrath. He has. So, like I said, there's a lot to there.
The angel that rolled the tomb away, countenance like lightning, he was there to do a job. These two angels are there to give a message.
Who said that? Somebody said earlier, was there two or whether there are three? Somebody, was it Joe? I don't remember. That's where it's like putting all the timeline together. You might have had the mighty one shows up. In fact, one of the texts says an angel of the Lord. Now we've talked about so he may be, maybe one of the ark ones, and then now you've got these two other ones. And then, woman, why are you crying? They've taken my Lord. I don't know where he is. And then 14, man, I got to stop. I can't. I'm not going to do it justice. I'm just going to stop. So Wednesday night, this is your incentive to come back, is Mary Magdalene recognizing Jesus and having this conversation. So this is good stuff. This is the gospel. If you don't feel a stirring studying about the resurrection and the appearances and thinking about what it did to their emotions and their psyche, how it bolstered their confidence, where they go from hiding to kill us if you want to, the events we're studying now is what changed all of that, because they were convinced. We are witnesses of these things. Joe?
It seems to me, we talk about the appearance of the angels. They bring a great resemblance to the text when we read about the transfiguration. Same.
That glowing, there's a...
One old time I read called it glistering. That's just, glamorous and lightning and everything.
A glistering. I mean, it's something just like, I'm thinking Moses' face shining when he encounters the divine. And now here's this bolt of light. He is the father of lights. All of this stuff is associated here, and they're witnessing it. So we'll pick up then, I guess, from there.